to the WrestleHavoc Podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. We talk all that goes on in the realm of WWE and AEW every week. And now, here's your host, the one that will give you a reality check on pro wrestling, Flamin' Ricky DeReyes. This is the WrestleHavoc Podcast.
What's up, everybody? It is Flamin' Ricky DeReyes, right here on episode 9 of the WrestleHavoc Podcast, right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. We got a lot of things to talk about right here on episode 9 of the WrestleHavoc Podcast. Of course, the big story right now is Kenny Omega. Yes, Kenny Omega is in the news regarding his contract status. Now, granted, AEW has extended his contract, but a lot of rumors are going around about Kenny Omega possibly joining World Wrestling Entertainment once his contract is up. We also got news on AEW All Access. Of course, AEW announced this past Wednesday night on Dynamite, AEW All Access. We also got the Ring of Honor. Of course, the relaunch of Ring of Honor is happening, and they're going to be returning this Thursday on Honor Club, and we have the rundown of the card. Now, I believe they taped the first 4 episodes of Ring of Honor. I'm not sure how many tapings that they did, but they definitely basically taped the entire chunk of the Supercard of Honor build, so we got a lot of news on that, plus much more right here on the WrestleHavoc Podcast, right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Also, the WrestleHavoc Podcast is also available on audio platforms. It is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and Google Podcasts. So if you guys want to listen to the WrestleHavoc Podcast in audio format, it is available on all of those platforms. Also, quick reminder right here, of course, beginning Friday, March 3rd, I'm going to be starting Ring of Honor Wrestling Reviews right here on the WrestleHavoc Podcast. Of course, Ring of Honor is returning this coming Thursday, and it will be airing on Honor Club, and they already taped the first few chunk of tapings. Of course, that is leading up to the build to Ring of Honor's Supercard of Honor pay-per-view event, and a lot of people have been really enjoying the tapings, as I've heard. I've seen the spoilers, but there's a lot of great things happening over on the Ring of Honor side. So be on the lookout for the Ring of Honor review beginning Friday, March 3rd, right here on the WrestleHavoc Podcast. All right, in our first major story, we are going to be talking about the Best Bout Machine. Yes, we are going to be talking about one of the executive vice presidents of AEW, and that being Kenny Omega. Of course, throughout this past week, Kenny Omega was in the news about his contract status with AEW. We were not sure when his contract was going to be up, considering the fact that it was actually supposed to be up by the end of January, but Kenny Omega's AEW contract has been extended because of his injury time. Omega was out 9 months. I am reading this from F4W Online. Kenny Omega's AEW contract has been extended due to injury time, but by how long is unknown. That news was reported in today's Wrestling Observer newsletter by Dave Meltzer and expounded upon during Wrestling Observer Radio Friday. Omega was out of action for roughly 9 months, that being from November 2021 to August of 2022, due to a variety of injuries that required both surgery and rehab. According to Meltzer, Omega's contract was set to expire on January 31st of this year. He originally signed a 4-year deal that started on February 1st, 2019, with no extension option. However, it did have an injury clause which enabled AEW to extend it. Meltzer then says that the amount of time being added hasn't been finalized, quote-unquote, but that Omega, 1/3 of the reigning AEW World Trios Champions, is working under a contract. Speaking on Wrestling Observer Radio, Meltzer did state that he didn't believe any additional time could be added due to his suspension following the all-out fight that wasn't 100% positive. Omega and the Young Bucks are expected to defend the Trios titles against the House of Black on Sunday's Revolution pay-per-view, in which that match was already announced on Rampage. So this was honestly expected, in my opinion. I remember talking about this last week on the podcast. I genuinely believed that AEW was going to be extending his contract, and lo and behold, that was the case. So we're going to have to basically wait up until November. Now, Kenny Omega. Now, there's more Kenny Omega news because this is actually a big story. Of course, this has to do with WWE because once Kenny Omega's contract is up, he's going to be a major free agent in the pro wrestling market. Kenny Omega is said to be open-minded about going to WWE. I'm reading this from WrestlingNews.co. There's been a lot of talk about Kenny Omega's future in AEW or with WWE in recent weeks because his contract was supposed to expire in late January. Dave Meltzer reported that Omega's contract has been extended to make up for the time he was out with injuries, but it's unclear how much longer he has on his extended time. Once again, I'm reading this from WrestlingNews.co. During the PW Torch audio show, Wade Keller talked about Omega's potential WWE move. In a quote by Wade Keller, he states, and I quote, "I haven't independently verified rumors of WWE being interested in Omega," Keller said. "I have confirmed that they're aware of Omega's open-mindedness to come to WWE. That's what I've been told. That's he's open-minded to landing in WWE before his career is over. The attitude is not, I love AEW, I'm going to stay here forever. That is not apparently the belief within WWE. They don't believe that Kenny Omega's mindset is at that point." Keller continued, "Omega is valued within WWE from what I can ascertain by certain people whose options count. But he's not seen at the stage as a wrestler who is so good in the ring that are just going to do anything to get him. I think that they are very happy with their roster. I think that they have a lot of great wrestlers who are on Kenny's level. Kenny would be a good addition, by the way. I know that there's curiosity and intrigue about what they could do with him if they were able to direct him with a little bit better because his character work in 3+ years of Dynamite has not been particularly compelling." That is what Keller said. Keller then went on to say that there is something there because of his popularity, and he added, quote unquote, "In terms of being a weekly TV series character, that's something that WWE would be, I think. Excited to explore creativity with him, but I don't think he would come in and be seen as a guy who they are just going to track to headline WrestleMania like Cody Rhodes has gotten. I think there's a belief there's more to Cody, more of the future given Cody's age and wear and tear on his body being less than just a WWE-ready character and promo, that there's more turnover main event multi-year potential in Cody than Kenny Omega. Omega then turns 40 later this year, and he's talked about the wear and tear he's taken a toll on his body. The AEW schedule would allow him to work less dates, so a jump to WWE would not foregone conclusion, and there's a very real possibility that he will decide to stay with AEW. So Kenny Omega is seeming open-minded. He is seeming very open-minded. Now, this is actually very, very interesting because around the same time that this report came out, also, there was a report that also came out about WWE reportedly going hard at Kenny Omega. Once again, I am reading this from WrestlingNews.co. While speaking on the Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer was talking about the situation and how the next year will be interesting as plenty of AEW wrestlers will also decide on where they want to do with their careers once their contract is up. Dave Meltzer stated, and I quote, "If WWE had buried Cody, then they would have no shot at Kenny Omega. But they didn't. So they do. At least you say they have a shot. Tony Khan losing Kenny Omega from a perception point would be really bad. Kenny Omega is in a really good position right now." Meltzer later added that this is going to be a very interesting year for Tony Khan. A lot of key deals are going to be up this year, and WWE is going to go hard at everyone good. There's going to be a lot of WWE deals up, and he needs to make the product and the perception of the product attractive enough so where guys on the other side go. They're solid, and they're financially stable. They have an easier schedule. They're doing good. Right now, I don't think the perception of WWE talent is to go there. That's the key thing. It's the perception for WWE talent like it is, hey, it's a fresh coat of paint for me, and I'm in the middle. Those are the guys. It's got to be the right guys for AEW. Meltzer then gave an example of bringing in somebody from WWE like Dolph Ziggler who would help their roster due to his talent, but wouldn't be the type of draw somebody like Seth Rollins would be for them. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting. So, Kenny Omega, is a very interesting scenario for AEW, in my opinion, considering the fact that, again, Kenny Omega is one of the EVPs for AEW. Not only that, he's, if you really think about it, him and the Elite, without the Elite, if you really think about it, there is no AEW. Would it hurt AEW if they lost Kenny Omega? The answer is yes, because I don't think at this point AEW should afford to lose Kenny Omega. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh yeah, Kenny Omega's re-signing. There is a very possibility that once his contract is up, I believe in November, because they did extend his contract, most likely, it's 50-50. He could either stay with AEW or he could stay with WWE. I personally believe that there's still much left for Kenny Omega to do in AEW, in my opinion. But one of the things that really, what was the benefit of Triple H gaining power in the WWE after Vince McMahon stepped down is the fact that he's going to go after a lot of guys, not just in the independents, but go after top guys in AEW. Now, granted, Vince McMahon did that with Cody Rhodes, but let's be real honest with ourselves. If Vince McMahon was still in charge, I don't think they would probably go after Kenny Omega the way Triple H would. Keep in mind, Triple H is the same guy. He is the same guy that literally gave the world for the Elite to come into the WWE, and the Elite refuse. Now, I'm not saying the same thing is going to happen now, because times are different right now, but it is still a possibility that Kenny Omega could join the WWE. Imagine AEW without the Elite. That'd be very bad, in my opinion. Do I think AEW is going to survive after that? Of course they are. But again, the Elite are AEW. It would really be insane to think that the Elite would not be in the company that they built. But it's very interesting. Kenny Omega is going to be in AEW for roughly at least by November, because of the fact that AEW has extended his contract. So we're good right now. But this is a very, very, very interesting discussion to have, because keep in mind, a lot of other contracts are up, not only by the end of this year, but by next year as well. MJF's contract is up by, I believe, January 1st, 2024. He keeps on touting it, but I personally believe that he secretly signed an extension. I may be wrong with that. Don't take my statement with a grain of salt. But, there's a lot of different, possibilities here. And the chances of Kenny Omega, when his contract is up, going to the WWE is that's a very real possibility that could happen. All right. In our next topic, we are going to be talking about AEW's unscripted series. Yes, AEW, the important announcement that I talked about this past Wednesday on the Dynamite review that Tony Khan had, of course, was an announcement of a new unscripted series called AEW All Access on TBS. In an article by Variety, they talked about this, and they said that the series is titled AEW All Access, and it is expected to debut on TBS in March, and it will follow some of the company's biggest stars, including Adam Cole, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, Sammy Guevara, Ty Conti, the Young Bucks, Saraya, Wardlow, and Eddie Kingston, along with Khan. Each episode will follow them week to week as they seek to remain at the top of the company while also exploring rivalries between them. The show will also detail the lead up to major AEW events and pay-per-views. And in a quote by Tony Khan, he states, and I quote, "We're always looking for new ways to engage with fans and give them unique access to our incredible talent," Khan said. With the new AEW All Access series, they'll have a chance to peek behind the curtain and into the lives of their favorite wrestlers like never before. To show the human side of some of the larger-than-life figures, they will give fans a rare perspective about who these wrestlers are when the cameras aren't typically on. So that was basically the majority of the announcement or the article that I read from Variety. What are my thoughts on AEW All Access? I talked about this briefly on the AEW Dynamite review. I think this is a good thing for AEW. Now, it caused a lot of outrage on social media when Tony Khan made this announcement. There was a lot of outrage about it. And I understand both sides of the perspective. I understand both sides of the whole story. Look, with the timing of everything, this definitely does look like a ratings ploy. I'm not saying that it is, because of the fact that if you really look at the quarters for Dynamite did reach 1 million viewers, but if you look at the quarters, this was actually the lowest rated segment of the show. So a thing people need to realize is, yes, this may seem like a ratings ploy, but we need to look at the long term about this show. The long term of this show is the fact that the relationship with Warner Brothers Discovery and AEW for now looks to be intact. And you know what? That is great. It goes to show you that Warner Brothers Discovery is actually giving AEW another hour of television to work at. Granted, this is also going to be on the same time slot as the Power Slap show. Now, granted, I believe Power Slap is about to end in a couple of weeks because I believe they're finishing off with their first season. But I do not see, in my opinion, Power Slap being renewed. Imagine, just think about this. Imagine AEW All Access getting bigger ratings than Power Slap. That is going to be absolutely hilarious to think. But what are my thoughts on AEW All Access as a show? I think AEW All Access as a show is a great idea. I know a lot of wrestling fans do not like the idea of reality television, but if you really think about it, a lot of fans on the internet complain about, AEW has to appeal to a casual fan base. And look, this is the answer. This is basically the answer. They're trying to reach to a larger audience. And if you really think about it, reality television is that larger audience. And look, when it comes to reality television, are wrestling fans going to watch? I have no idea. There's a lot of wrestling fans that do not like reality television. But I'm going to be giving this show a shot. I think it's going to be very good. And we get to see more into the lives of guys like Adam Cole, Britt Baker, Eddie Kingston, all that stuff. And it's going to be great to see. So I'm actually very, very, very excited for AEW's All Access. All right. Of course, when it comes to AEW, we got a pay-per-view happening, and the pay-per-view, of course, is going to be AEW's Revolution. Revolution is going to be taking place this Sunday night, March 5th, my birthday, by the way, from the Chase Center in San Francisco, California. I'm going to be giving you guys a quick rundown of the card. Another announcement that I'm going to be making on this channel is that AEW, of course, has their pay-per-view Revolution this Sunday night. I am not sure whether or not I'm going to be uploading episode 10 of the podcast on Friday or Saturday. I'm going to have to wait and see. It all depends on the SmackDown review, because usually I upload the SmackDown review on Saturday, but hopefully by the end of this week, I'll let you guys know when I will be uploading episode 10 of the podcast. But we got Revolution, and it's looking to be a solid card. Has the build been great for Revolution? Let's be real here. No. But to say that AEW has no stories is a completely false statement. AEW does have stories. It's just the fact that right now, the hottest story in all of pro wrestling right now is Sami Zayn and the Bloodline. That is literally not only the hottest thing in WWE, it's literally the hottest thing in wrestling right now. But I'm very much looking forward to Revolution. So we're going to be giving you guys a quick rundown of the card. We got Ricky Starks versus Chris Jericho with the Jericho Appreciation Society banned from ringside. That is going to be a relatively interesting match right there. The build for this match has been a little weird. I remember when they first started putting Ricky Starks in a program with Chris Jericho, I was very excited. And the match that they had on Dynamite around roughly almost 2 months ago was really good. But why would Ricky Starks challenge Chris Jericho to a rematch if he already beat him? We got Jon Moxley versus Hangman Page in a Texas death match. You guys already know how this match is going to be. This is going to be an absolute bloodbath, in my opinion. And if Moxley, it's going to be very rare if Moxley doesn't bleed, but of course he is going to be bleeding in this match, just to piss all of you guys off. We got Austin and Colton Gunn, the AEW Tag Team Champions, defending their titles against the Acclaimed, that being Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, taking on Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal versus the winner of this Wednesday's Tag Team Casino Battle Royale in a four-way for the AEW Tag Team Championships. I believe the reason why they booked a four-way is because of the fact that I believe it's a tradition starting last year, because I believe last year they did do a four-way match for the tag team titles as well. I believe Jurassic Express, the Young Bucks, Red Dragon were in that. I completely forgot the fourth tag team. But that was a very, very, very good match. So they're going to be basically doing the same thing on this match. But overall, it's going to be very interesting who the fourth team is going to be. Of course, we got the Casino Battle Royale. And, of course, we do not know who the Joker is going to be. A lot of people are creating speculation whether the Joker is going to be FTR, but I have no idea. I may be wrong. We got the Elite, that being Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, taking on the House of Black, Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews for the AEW World Trios titles. Even though this match is going to be great, let's be honest with ourselves. I feel like this match should have had a little more build to it. If they had started building up for this match, maybe at least from the beginning of the year, as soon as Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks won those trios titles, I would have been fine. But I feel like there needs to be more build. Now, granted, everybody knew that this match was going to be taking place, but everybody knew that the House of Black were going to be the next major challengers for the trios titles. But again, there needed to be more build instead of just having, the House of Black just show up randomly in random places. We need to have promo segments between these two guys. Now, granted, we did have brief video packages of the House of Black, but really that's not enough, in my opinion. We got Samoa Joe versus Wardlow for the TNT Championship. Honestly, I'm not really that interested in this match, to be quite honest with you. I'm still pissed at the fact that Darby Allin dropped his TNT title back to Samoa Joe. Even though I like Samoa Joe, I just believe that, Darby Allin didn't even have that title for a long period of time. And it really goes to show you really what was the whole point of Darby Allin holding the TNT Championship. But it's still going to be a great match nonetheless. They added some element of story, of course, by adding, the symbolism of what Wardlow's hair had to the father of Wardlow, which was a nice touch right there. So overall, I think it's going to be a great match. But again, it's not one of the matches that I'm really interested in. We got Jamie Hayter versus Saraya versus Ruby Soho in a three-way match for the AEW Women's World Championship. This whole, established versus homegrown feud was a feud that started off really promising, and I still think it's gonna be promising as we head towards down, but I feel like right now it is the slow build phase. But that is not to say that the slow build phase has been good, because in my opinion, I feel like in recent weeks, Saraya and Toni Storm haven't really grown on me as a duo, to be quite honest with you. I mean, like you literally have them, spray painting a lot of the wrestlers after their matches, and for me, that's one of the elements as to why that turned me off. Not because of the fact that they're quote unquote copying the NWO, but because of the fact that when they do it, it's just the simple fact of it's just really cringe, in my opinion. But we're going to see where this goes. But I think it's going to be a great match. And look, I'm glad that Ruby Soho is finally in a situation in which she actually finally gets to do something. Because let's be realistic with ourselves. Throughout the entirety of last year, what was really Ruby Soho doing? Not really much. So it's great that they put Ruby Soho in that position. We got MJF versus Bryan Danielson in the main event in a 60-minute Iron Man match for the AEW World Championship. It is going that match is of course the match everybody is anticipating about. It is going to be a very, 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 very good match in my eyes, because a lot of people would talk a lot of shit about MJF, about how he always gets cheap heat, blah, blah, blah. But if you really think about it, a lot of other heels do a lot of cheap heat as well. So really, why are you talking shit about MJF when literally a lot of people on the WWE roster would do cheap heat all the freaking time? And also, not only that, it's gonna basically the whole gist of the story is MJF getting put to the test to see if he could out wrestle Bryan Danielson. And of course, this story started way back after Full Gear, when William Regal turned on Jon Moxley. And then, of course, we guys know what happened there, MJF being the devil himself. But this is going to be a fantastic match overall, and I think a lot of people are going to shut the hell up after this match is over. So that was the Revolution card for AEW. It's going to be a great show overall. Now, we do not know if there's going to be more matches on the show. Hopefully, those are all the matches, considering the fact that Tony Khan tends to put a lot of matches on pay-per-views to the point where the pay-per-views just become really long. But overall, I think the show overall is going to be absolutely fantastic. WWE very concerned about Sami Zayn heading in to WrestleMania 39. This is actually a very interesting story. I'm reading this from the WrestleTalk website. WWE is, quote-unquote, very concerned that Sami Zayn may be too popular as we head into WrestleMania 39 on April 1st and April 2nd. With the main event for WrestleMania being the undisputed WWE Championship match between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, it's obvious that most of the attention should be on that. However, there's no denying that the current popularity of Sami Zayn, as Dave Meltzer explained on Wrestling Observer Radio, saying, and I quote, The stuff with Cody and Heyman, WWE were very concerned about the Sami chance, which is one of the reasons why they got Heyman out there in seconds. They did not want Cody in there by himself because they thought that it didn't happen, but they did everything in their power to make sure that they kept that moving. They did not allow the audience a chance to start the chanting or anything like that. It was just back and forth. It was designed to give the audience no chance to chant because of the feeling that they had it would hurt Cody's momentum, and perhaps it would. And then it could create a groundswell for Zayn, which is exactly what they don't want right now. So the segment from the February 20th episode of WWE Raw saw Heyman getting personal with Rhodes and making suggestions towards Brandy Rhodes. The promo between the pair was reportedly written by both men separately. Rhodes would address the segment seemingly being cut short in a post on social media. And it was recently revealed that the segment on WWE Raw had no producer listed internally according to the reports. As with a lot of the Bloodline content, Michael Hayes was the producer of the well-received Rhodes and Heyman segment from the February 6th episode of Monday Night Raw, which include Heyman apparently being caught by surprise when Cody was mentioning Dusty Rhodes getting booked by ECW in 2000. So what are my thoughts on WWE apparently being concerned over the Sami chance? WWE put themselves in this whole situation themselves. Let's be honest with ourselves. This is all WWE's fault. Now, do I still think it was the right decision for Sami Zayn to lose at the Elimination Chamber? Yes, there is no denying that. Why would Roman lose to... Yes, you can argue the fact that Sami Zayn is hot right now, but why would Roman lose his titles a month before WrestleMania? It just makes absolutely no sense to do that. Again, I talked about this on the Elimination Chamber review. The thing that WWE should have done to avoid all of this concern was to have Jay turn on Sami at the Chamber. That is exactly what they should have done. If all that went down, I guarantee you they would have not been concerned whatsoever, and they could immediately focus with Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, and that is it. But do I think the fans are going to be turning on Cody Rhodes? No, I don't think so. I don't think we should be in the discussion about the fans turning on Cody Rhodes. The reason why I say that is because of the fact of one simple thing, and that is Triple H is in charge, not Vince McMahon. If Vince McMahon was in charge, I guarantee you they would literally have so much trouble up until now to figure out what the WrestleMania main event is going to be. They would literally have trouble figuring out what the WrestleMania main event should be. That is exactly what would happen if Vince McMahon was still in charge. But Triple H is in charge, so we honestly do not have to worry about this whatsoever, and I have full faith in Triple H that they are going to be successfully telling this story. But I will say, they should have had Jay turn on Sami, and I still stand by that statement. All right. In other news for WWE Money in the Bank at the O2 Arena sold out immediately in less than a minute. It goes to show you that the demand that the UK has for WWE. I'm reading this once again from the WrestleTalk website. WWE is set to hold its first premium live event in London over 2 decades later this year, when WWE Money in the Bank comes to the O2 Arena on July 1st. Tickets for the event went on pre-sale earlier this week, with the tickets being in high demand. The original pre-sale launch was delayed an hour to allow Ticketmaster to accommodate for the high demand for the show, with the acclamation selling out in just 3 minutes. If 3 minutes sounds impressive, then you'll be even more shocked to hear that today's general sale began at 12 p.m. noon, and just 1 more minute later, fans attempting to secure tickets were told that the event was all sold out. As of this afternoon, a few limited higher value and platinum seats are available, with prices ranging from $509 to $1,350 for a 2-night pass. So yeah, man, WWE Money in the Bank primarily is already sold out, and the event sold out in less than a minute. Honestly, I'm not surprised by this at all. I mean, the fans in the UK are literally the most passionate fans in the world, and the wrestling market in the UK is so high right now. I mean, it's always been high. I mean, every time when WWE or any company goes to the UK, you are guaranteed a lot of fans there. Even when TNA was at their lowest point, they always went to the UK and drew large houses in my eyes. They always did that. But yeah, man, this is nothing but a positive, and it goes to show you the demand that the UK has for WWE in general. So you honestly love to see it, in my opinion. All right, we are going to be running down real quick the WrestleMania 39 card. WrestleMania 39 is going to be taking place at SoFi Stadium on April 1st and April 2nd. We got the confirmed matches for WrestleMania 39, and the confirmed matches are, as I state, we got the Raw Women's Championship match between Bianca Belair and Asuka, Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and the WWE Universal Undisputed Championship, that being between Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. Now, the rumored matches taking place for WrestleMania that are expected to happen at WrestleMania, I should say, is, of course, the Undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships, the Usos, Jimmy and Jay, taking on Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, Edge versus Finn Balor, Brock Lesnar versus Omos, Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul. Now, we also got John Cena versus Austin Theory. Now, I believe John Cena is going to be returning next Monday night on Raw to set up Austin Theory versus John Cena, because Austin Theory last week on Raw did mention John Cena's name, so it looks like that match is going to be set up as well. But WrestleMania, the card is shaping up to be very, very, very good. But there's one match that I'm not really interested in, and that is Brock Lesnar versus Omos. Now, we do not know if that is going to be the case for this match, but if the match ends up getting announced either tonight on Raw or in the future, that is probably the worst match you could possibly come up with. Brock Lesnar versus Omos is the type of match that Vince McMahon would literally die for. Like, this man would book that match. Nobody wants to see Brock Lesnar versus Omos. Nobody wants to see Brock Lesnar versus Omos. I don't care what you say. That is such a Vince McMahon match right there. But that's all I'm going to say about that. All right. WWE reportedly sets new dates for two major pay-per-views, that being Backlash and the King and Queen of the Ring in the month of May. I'm reading this from the website called 411 Mania. WWE has reportedly scheduled the dates for the WWE Backlash event as well as the King and Queen of the Ring event. WrestleNomics' Brandon Thurston reports that he has confirmed with multiple sources that on May 6th date for Backlash and the May 27th date for King and Queen of the Ring, both of which will be premium live events. It was noted that the locations for both shows are not yet known. Backlash would be the follow-up, as usual, to WrestleMania, which takes place on April 1st and 2nd in Los Angeles. Money in the Bank is set for July 1st in London, while SummerSlam is set for August 5th in Detroit. The last King of the Ring tournament saw Xavier Woods win the crown at WWE Crown Jewel 2021, while Zelina Vega won the Queen's Crown tournament on the same night. Assuming that the report is accurate, it appears that the Queen of the Ring will replace the Queen's Crown tournament, and WWE also filed a trademark for the WWE King and Queen of the Ring in December of last year. Meanwhile, Backlash has been known as WrestleMania Backlash, which is a shitty name, by the way, for the last 2 years. Brandon Thurston simply referred to the event as Backlash, so it is possible that the show could be reverting to its previous name. Thank Christ. So we got two other pay-per-views happening in the month of May, and looks like WrestleMania Backlash is no more. Thank God, it's just Backlash. And also, we got the King and Queen of the Ring. Now, WWE hasn't officially announced these pay-per-views, but it's going to be very interesting to see if these pay-per-views are actually going to be taking place, and it looks like the King of the Ring is actually going to be coming back as a major pay-per-view, which is great to see, in my opinion. But I will say this, honestly, I genuinely expected that they were going to be replacing Money in the Bank with King of the Ring, but they didn't do that. But overall, I think this is great to see. This is great news overall. Speaking of pay-per-views, AEW Forbidden Door, the date for Forbidden Door 2 is seemingly spoiled. I'm reading this from comicbook.com. AEW's Forbidden Door, its annual crossover event with New Japan Pro Wrestling, seems to have its date for later this year spoiled by Spectrum. The cable provider's official website has a schedule listing of all the upcoming pay-per-view events, which includes Forbidden Door, on June 24th, 2023. Neither AEW nor New Japan have announced the date up until this point. Tony Khan has also repeatedly indicated that a second show was in the works after the success of last year's event. And in a quote, And I quote, "We always build up to this big event, AEW New Japan coming together for Forbidden Door," Khan said in the Click podcast this week. "I think Forbidden Door 1 was a big success, and we're looking forward to doing it together again. They send a lot of their top stars to AEW and to ROH, and I love working with them. It's been a great relationship, and there's been a lot of trust between the parties." So it looks like Forbidden Door is listed on June 24th. Also, keep in mind that the other two pay-per-views, that being King and Queen of the Ring and Backlash, are reportedly set. Now, Backlash, I believe, is reportedly set. Let me actually pull it up here. Backlash is reportedly set for May 6th, and King and Queen of the Ring is actually set for May 27th. Now, May 27th is actually a very interesting date, considering the fact that on Memorial Day weekend, AEW does their annual Double or Nothing show. So it looks like WWE, if that is the case, is going to be interfering with AEW's weekends once again, which I honestly do not like, because I think it's really fucking stupid, but it is what it is. But, yeah, man. That's what we got here regarding pay-per-views. Quick rundown of Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor has started to tape their television on the build for Supercard of Honor. And the card, now, I read the spoilers. I'm not going to give you guys the spoilers here, but from what I have seen, Ring of Honor is actually, really fire. The presentation was actually leaked of Ring of Honor as well, and the presentation looks absolutely freaking amazing. It looks like the Impact Zone, like a much smaller version of the Impact Zone from the 2000s, but it's very great to see that, AEW did realize that, since they're going to be in the same venue as AEW Dark, they really need to change things up regarding Ring of Honor. And that is exactly what they did here with the Ring of Honor tapings, which is great to see. But the matches that were announced for Ring of Honor, which have already been taped, by the way, we got Claudio Castagnoli in the main event, defending his Ring of Honor world title against AR Fox. We got Mark Briscoe taking on Slim J. We also got Konosuke Takeshita versus Josh Woods. And we got Zack Sabre Jr. versus Blake Christian. And we got Lady Frost versus Willow Nightingale. That is going to be in the initial launch, in the initial episode of the return of Ring of Honor Wrestling. And of course, I will be giving you guys my thoughts on Ring of Honor on the Ring of Honor review this coming Friday, March 3rd, right here on the WrestleHavoc Podcast. Jeff Hardy. We got news on Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy's license suspended for 10 years, and the DUI case is closed. Hardy will serve no jail time for his third DUI offense. I am reading this from F4W Online. The Florida DUI case involving AEW roster member Jeff Hardy, dating back to June 2022, was closed on Thursday after he submitted a written plea to nolo contendere to all charges, which if I misread that, my apologies. Hardy's license will be suspended for the next decade, and he will get 38 days credit for time served in county jail as part of his sentence. Nolo condorance is where the defendant agrees to accept punishment but does not accept or deny responsibility for that in which they are charged. Hardy was arrested on the morning of June 28th in Florida and was charged with 1 count of DUI in his third offense, 1 count of driving under a suspended/canceled/revoked license, and 1 count of driving while his license was restricted. He pled guilty and faced up to 5 years in prison for the main charge, while the others were misdemeanors. Here's the full sentence via Volusia County court records. A 38-county jail sentence with 38 days credit for time served, 2 years probation, $4,586 in fines, dollars in fines and count fees, a 10-year suspension for his license, 2 years with an interlock device, and 90-day vehicle impoundment, court-mandated DUI school or drug rehab program, and community service. So, yeah, man. On Tuesday, Hardy's attorney filed a motion to surpass the breath test results from his arrest as unreliable. They claim that the intoxizer was used not to inspected by the Florida Highway Patrol the month before Hardy was tested, which violates the Florida Department of Law Enforcement rule in which such equipment must be, quote-unquote, inspected by an agency inspector at least once each calendar month. They also claimed that the equipment used exhibited significant signs of unreliability during the tests and inspections, but was not fixed or removed from circulation. According to a police report, Hardy blew .294 and .291 as part of 2 tests, far above the Florida legal limit of .08. The conclusion follows: as long as Winded Road delays throughout the last 8 months, Hardy was immediately suspended by AEW after the arrest without pay and can only return to AEW upon successfully completing treatment and maintaining his sobriety. There has been no indication if Hardy is insisted to returning to wrestling, and if so, any target date. So, Jeff Hardy, man. I remember when the news broke about Jeff Hardy's arrest last year. It was it sucked. It was really bad. But, we can all say, how many chances has Jeff Hardy had? He's had a lot of chances. Let's be honest with ourselves. He has had a lot of chances and chance after chance after chance. Do we know if Jeff Hardy is going to get another chance? I definitely believe so. But at the same time, when is enough enough? Jeff Hardy definitely, hopefully coming out of this, hopefully can get his life around, because we do not like seeing Jeff Hardy in this current state. And I think it's best for Jeff Hardy to take the time he needs to recover fully and, finally get sober at the end of the day, because what happened to Jeff Hardy was, horrible and ridiculous, but, shit happens and addiction's a piece of crap, but, a lot of people deal with issues, and unfortunately Jeff Hardy is one of those people that are dealing with a lot of issues, and hopefully he can get through those issues. CM Punk is in the news, and CM Punk replies to a fan today, and it was actually very, very, very interesting. So CM Punk was in the news on Instagram. The Pro Wrestling Podcast account shared the graphic of Mark's comments. A fan wrote, "Keep CM Punk retired." That was what one fan stated. And that led to CM Punk writing in this response. This is actually very funny. He stated, and I quote, "You liked your own comment. Bold. I'll wrestle again just to upset you. You'll match no matter where." Is Punk coming back? We do not know. Also, at the same time, Mark Henry on Busted Open Radio talked about CM Punk and says that CM Punk is not cancer, and says that he's a teacher and a supporter. On the latest episode of Busted Open Radio, Mark Henry spoke out against the recent reports that there were some who viewed Punk as a cancer in the locker room. In a quote by Mark Henry, he stated, and I quote, "He's not a cancer. He's opinionated, but he's also a teacher and a supporter. I've seen him do stuff he didn't have to do. He just did it because he loved the business and he wanted to make that wrestler better. I think he's good for pro wrestling, and at the end of the day, he's good for business. He's good for the education of those young wrestlers he took a liking to." When it comes to the Elite and Punk settling their issues, he added, and I quote, "They're going to have to sit down together without Tony, just them guys, not throw hands. I love all parties involved. I would love to mandate the situation, but keep the issue on the issue and not make it personal. Make it about wrestling. Make it about the issue at hand and not the individual. Then you can solve it." Wise words, in my opinion, by Mark Henry. Again, I agree 100% with what Mark Henry says. I think this whole situation with CM Punk and the Elite shouldn't have happened to begin with. I think that they should all sit down. They should all reconcile. And honestly, they should just make money off of the whole situation. I think the whole problem that stemmed between Punk, the Elite, literally, this whole situation was based off of Colt Cabana. Colt Cabana, a guy that does not have any importance on the show. So, honestly, it goes to show you how ridiculous this whole situation was. Everybody, and I will state this until the day I die, sue me. Everybody is at fault here. You can side with Punk, you can side with the Elite, all you want. But at the end of the day, everybody, all parties, the Elite, Kenny Omega, well, not really Kenny Omega, because Kenny Omega, he kind of basically saved Larry in the whole situation. But again, all parties involved, the Elite, CM Punk, Tony Khan, all of them, they all have a part to blame. Everybody has a part to blame, and at this point, I think it's time for right now for them to fix the situation. Do I think Punk will be returning to AEW? Yes, I genuinely believe that he will. Of course, he is still currently injured, but we do not know when he's going to be coming back. But after that response by the fan, it looks like all signs are pointing to Punk possibly, that is the key word, possibly returning to the ring. We're just going to have to wait and see. Another thing, they're going to be having CM Punk team with FTR if he does come back. If Punk comes back and they have him team with FTR, FTR's contract is also up in April, so we're going to have to wait and see. Will FTR return in the Casino Tag Team Battle Royale? We do not know. We're going to have to wait and see at the end of the day. But, yeah, man, very interesting stuff and wise words by Mark Henry. That's why Mark Henry is one of the greats in this business. You love to see it. But yeah, that was episode 9 of the WrestleHavoc podcast. We talked about a lot of things right here on the show, of course, that being Kenny Omega, CM Punk, Ring of Honor, AEW All Access, WWE, a lot of things right here on this show. And of course, be on the lookout for the Ring of Honor reviews starting March 3rd, that being this Friday right here on the channel, because we are going to be going deep when it comes to Ring of Honor. We also got WWE Raw happening in about a few minutes. We also got AEW Dynamite, SmackDown, and of course we got AEW's Revolution pay-per-view. On the next episode of the WrestleHavoc podcast, I will be giving you guys my Revolution 2023, my apologies, predictions. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. But yeah, man, that was episode 8 of the WrestleHavoc podcast. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, push that bell for notifications, and be on the lookout for more videos right here on the WrestleHavoc podcast, right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the friggin' referee would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. And as always, it is Flamin' Rick from the WrestleHavoc podcast, signing out.